Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhyme's coming straight from the Berg. She is none other than Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend? How are you? How was your week?
It's not been too bad so far. I know you and I did not have a very good weekend football wise
No, we
this
didn't.
past weekend.
No, we
We
didn't.
we're just we're losing it. We're
Yeah.
we're just both losing it. It's fine,
Oh, I've
but
I've been lost it. I lost it like 2 weeks ago, so I'm just waiting for baseball season to come back now.
yeah, I'm just glad that hockey season's around because football's not really doing much for me right now. It's actually just making me sad. So I'll just stick with my hockey. At least they don't totally entirely let me down, but
There you go. There you go.
eh,
Well, you have that, and you also have professional wrestling. Can't
yeah,
forget
I
can't
do.
forget about that. That is the whole reason why we are here. This is a professional wrestling podcast where Shay and I discuss the happenings of things like WWE and AEW. And this week tonight we're going to be discussing Survivor Series War Games that happened this past Saturday. What a show. Just maybe a little disclaimer. This show might be shorter than the usual episodes of the Ringside Rundown because this PLE only had 4 matches on the card.
Yeah.
And you know, they had the 2 War Games matches that probably took up about an hour. I don't know, I wasn't doing any time on it.
Yeah.
And also they had the Stephanie Vicaire versus Nikki Bella and Dominic Mysterio versus John Cena. We're gonna go through all of it in just a second here. But like I said, Survivor Series this past weekend attended by 46,000 people, the largest attended Survivor Series in history.
Yeah.
They keep
Ugh.
making money.
I by like hand over fist they're making that money. It's just wild. It's just I don't know about you. I did obviously I have to provide the I don't know, internet fan perspective since you get to watch the shows and I don't because Xfinity and ESPN are being pissy with each other still and whatever.
Still.
So I feel like I can provide like, yeah, this is generally what I saw online during the show. And the biggest thing I saw about Survivor Series and the clips and whatnot that I saw, the big talking point seems to be the fact that a lot of people, online at least, think that they need to take a break from the whole War Games format.
I did see
From
that a couple times. I did
yeah,
see that a couple times.
it seemed like the general consensus was there wasn't really anything new with the War Games matches, especially. There wasn't really anything that was like unique or groundbreaking. And the problem was is that a lot of people were comparing it to Blood and Guts, which, if you really think about it, they're not really much different. They're the exact same match. It's just Blood and Guts has all the rules thrown out. But if you think about it, War Games doesn't have any rules either.
Right.
It's just two completely different companies.
Right.
Like War Games is I don't know, Blood and Guts is just what War Games is toned down. And that's pretty much it because you compare the two and it's night and day, and it seemed like a lot of people were more inclined to enjoy Blood and Guts more than War Games.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, from the little bits and pieces I saw of the War Games matches, I feel like I'd have to agree with them, but I feel like you just kind of have to like that style of match though,
Right.
because I mean the blood and guts literally, not really for the faint of heart, and I feel like it's just also a very specific kind of match. And like I said, if you're not into the blood and the gore and the glass and the thumbtacks and pretty much anything you can think like death matches essentially. Granted, you probably would have enjoyed War Games more, but if you probably watched all the War Games the past few years in a row, you probably were going to see this pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe in the exact order. There was like one spot, and I'm sure we'll get more in depth into it with the women's match, but they did like a side by side comparison of it, and it
Mm-hmm.
was the exact same move. It was like Rhea had the prism trap in, and Io was running the ropes. and did the drop kick too. I don't remember who it was.
Kyrie Sane this year, I remember it
Yeah.
being Kyrie Sane, and she had the trash can draped over her as well during that
Yeah.
spot.
So yeah, the fact that you can have a side-by-side comparison of two separate instances from two separate matches and they are the exact same. I mean, takes some investigating to get to that point, but still the fact that that was a thing was kind of like, it's like, guys, I get it. It was sad when even, at least from what I saw, Io's trash can thing was not even like, oh my god, she did the thing. It was like, oh, she did the thing again. It's like it wasn't even, people weren't even really excited about it from what I saw. So I'm like, oh wow, I think it's kind of run its course with people from what I saw. But what did you think of it since you had the first-hand
Well,
experience?
I would you kind of answered one of the questions that I had that I was gonna bring up later, but you kind of answered it already. Did Blood and Guts alter your perception of how WWE does war games? And it's kind of hard to tell because they're only what, like 2 weeks apart from each other,
Yeah.
and I feel like Blood and Guts had all of the ooh and the ah and the wow, look at
Yeah.
that kind of showmanship to it, and
Yeah, the excitement.
yeah, and I think that's where WWE in their own right kind of fell short. I'm not saying that they had to do exactly what AEW did and bring back the blood and the gore and the
Yeah.
violence or anything like that. It just felt like this didn't have the ooh and ah factor to it.
Mhm.
It just felt like another cage match, and especially for the men. I think the women's War Games match was pretty good. I enjoyed it, and we'll break it down in just a little bit. Now I'll go through all my notes and everything that I have written down, but um I thought the women's was pretty good. The men's was okay for the physicality. It's just I think they tried to
Yeah.
pack in too much kind of mystery and intrigue into one match, and really there wasn't any follow up to it outside of we don't know what's going on, but definitely we'll get into it.
Yeah, and I feel like another thing too is that I think somebody made a good point online where they're like, a match like War Games has to be like the blow off of like a huge feud or something. It can't just be like a, okay, well, we have like all these like people that have their own issues with each other, so we'll just like throw them in there, even though some don't have anything to do with the other. Because I feel like that was, I think, a big gripe with maybe not so much the men, more or less the women, I think, because I think we had talked about it last week. It seemed like people were a little skeptical because it was kind of like a, okay, well, these women have problems with each other, and these women also have problems with each other, so we'll just all throw them into war games and just see what happens. And I mean, from what I saw, it wasn't a terrible match, but it was just like, if there was one big cohesive story to go with like everybody involved, I feel like that's when War Games is at its peak,
Hmm.
and I just don't think that was there this year. But I feel like for a match like War Games, it has to be this big ass deal. And I just don't think they did that as well this year, maybe, but I don't know. I just feel like, again, it's. I mean, I'm sure WWE's probably pissed that Blood and Guts exists because, like, kind of what you touched on, it's now kind of altered how people see War Games as its, like, own thing
Hmm.
because you go from, again, blood and thumbtacks and glass and chains and tables and everything, and it's just like, and then you get to the WWE one, and if you didn't know any better, you show them blood and guts first, they're gonna be like, oh wow, this is like a great like match stipulation, and then you show them war games and they'd be like, wait, that's it, like that's all it is.
It was kind of like a watered down version.
Yeah, and it's tough because if WWE wanted to, they could have had a match like that, but unfortunately, that's just not their business, which is just like, I mean, I mean, you can't really hate them for it, but it's also like, okay, but you could add a little more spice to it. I'm not saying you have to go full-blown death match or whatever, but if you're gonna make those kind of matches like a big deal, you better make it like a big deal. I mean, I don't know. That's just me, but yeah, that's
I
pretty much my consensus I got from everybody online on Saturday.
Yeah, it was it didn't have the lasting power of the normal WWE PLE. I felt like it didn't have the talking points and everybody kind of dominating the social media chatter like we usually come to expect with the
Yeah.
WWE PLE. I just felt like this kind of went by, and I don't know if it's maybe because there were only 4 matches on the card or anything, because they were able to fill up 3 hours worth of time with just 4 matches. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know really what they could have done differently to kind of develop a better, more well received show, because 46,000 people were in the building. They all had all the bells and whistles and everything going off, including the War Games matches. Maybe the War Games matches just didn't deliver the way that we thought that they were going to, and it kind of brought the show down a little bit. But
Maybe.
might as well get right into it, breaking it down. Like I said, I'm gonna be reading from my notes because that's the only way I can retain information is if I actually like write it down, and
Yeah.
that's the only way I can remember it. So that's the way it's gonna be here. I'm going to read off my notes and then we're going to talk about it. War Games kicks off with the two women who competed in the advantage match on Friday, Charlotte Flair and Asuka. Both women had a really good back and forth without having to use weapons or the cage. Charlotte gets some help when the next entrant is Io Sky, who comes out with a custom trash can lid. Io used the trash can lid to deliver bullet train knee attack in the corner. The majority of this portion of the match has Asuka and Io Sky going back and forth. The next entrant comes out to the ring with a kendo stick in hand, and that is Becky Lynch. There it was a nice moment where Charlotte and Becky tried to make an ally out of Charlotte, but that just broke down into a fight. The next entrant into the cage is Alexa Bliss, who gets cut off by Asuka. Bliss makes her way to the other cage and lights Lynch up with a flurry of offense. Alexa wanted to help her friend Io comes back and makes this a 3-on-2 advantage. The next entrant is one half of the tag champs, Kairi Sane, with a long chain link fence, or long chain link fence. Imagine a long chain link
You
in
imagine?
hand. Yeah, imagine if she came out with the whole fence. Imagine that.
Hey,
She comes out with a
why not?
chain in hand. Sane uses the chain to take down Alexa and Charlotte single handedly. This
Eh,
portion of the match has Team Asuka looking dominant. The next entrant is AJ Lee, who comes out to a loud reception. Becky Lynch holds the door closed, so AJ goes up to the cage and enters the hard way. She wipes out the Kabuki Warriors with a crossbody, and AJ goes right back after Becky Lynch. AJ looking dominant during this portion of the match. We almost get an Asuka and AJ interaction that was cut
Yeah.
off by the heels. The next entrant is Nia Jax, who comes and instantly wipes out Charlotte and Alexa. This portion was all about the dominance of Nia Jax and the heels. Out comes the Terrifier inspired Rhea Ripley. She had the Terrifier mask and the Art the Clown inspired gear on. She comes out with a bag full of kendo sticks and the custom Io Sky trash can. So that was pretty cool. And she
Yeah.
comes in the match and she starts moving really good against her opponents. Io and Rhea did the cool spot where Rhea had Kyrie trapped in the prism lock, like you talked about earlier. Io runs the ropes full speed and wipes out Kyrie with a dropkick while the trash can was covering her head. And the last entrant in the match, making the match official, is the rookie Lash Legend. War Games kicks off with Lash looking strong against everyone. We get a great power versus power exchange between Lash and Rhea. Heels look well in control here thanks to Lash and Nia. Heels surround Rhea Ripley and she has to fight 5-on-1 in this portion of the match. Asuka thinks it's a good time to try to break out the mist, and when she goes to mist Rhea Ripley, Rhea gets pulled out of the way by Charlotte and Asuka ends up misting Lash Legend, which was an interesting spot because we were talking about it earlier, and one of the people I were talking about it with got kind of angry because they said that it kind of looked like Lash put her hands up and kind of covered the mist so she didn't get too much of it in her eye. But like I said, that was intended for Rhea. She was pulled out of the damage and the mist spreads over Lash Legend. From here, the faces take over, capping off with Io Sky trash can dive from the top of the cage, wiping out everyone except Becky Lynch. From here, the faces take turn inflicting damage on Becky Lynch, finishing it off with a Black Widow submission from AJ Lee. Becky taps and the good guys win the match. So there you have it. Not a lot of carnage aside from a bit of weapon usage and wall collisions, but this match did have some good exchanges, and the pacing I thought was really good. I thought it was still a lot of fun, and I felt very generous. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5 flames.
Oh, look at you go. Yeah, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot that I saw that people were really complaining about. I feel like the only two things specifically was more or less just the okay, well, we got Io's trash can where it was like, yeah, it was funny the first time, it was still kind of funny the second time, but then when she kind of repeated a little bit, it gets a little stale. So people weren't as enthused about it as they've been in recent years. So there was that, but there was the big thing that it looked like so we always called them tribalists latched onto during that match to compare it to Blood and Guts was that spot where I think it was Charlotte had Becky's face in the cage, even though it really wasn't, and it just didn't look good, like at all. Um, yeah, that one was kind of janky. Just looking at that with no context, I was like, yeah, it's not the best, but I mean, I don't think that was gonna ruin the whole match. But other than that, though, it looked really good. Of course, my entire timeline was flooded with Rhea's outfit, so the gear was cool. Even though I hate horror movies, I at least knew what that was. But it was cool, and I like the little details on that and everything. And yeah, we both started out good. We both picked the women or the good guys to win, mainly because we just couldn't really see the bad guys winning again, and we were interested to see where it was going to go from here, and I'm going to be interested to see where it's going from here, especially since Becky's the one that tapped out.
Right.
Unless you ask Becky and she didn't actually tap out, which that's just up for debate. That just depends on what you were watching, but we don't want to make Becky mad.
Becky is doing the politician deal where she's just attacking all of her enemies and her oppositions and giving them nicknames and everything like that. My favorite being Charlatan Flair.
Yeah.
She's fully embracing the political gimmick, which is she's doing a very good job, I must say. She's got it down. She's got it down to a science. And she even put out a video. There was like this 10-minute video that she put out on social media. It's like a vlog from like the weekend of Survivor Series, and it was incredible. Incredible work from Becky Lynch. She's doing a fantastic job being entertaining. Just taking this by the bull. She's becoming a menace. Anybody that doesn't side with Becky Lynch is on her shit list, basically.
Yeah, we don't want to be on Becky's shit list.
No.
So we we approve. I mean, as we always have. But my favorite non wrestling part of this was when Lash Legend came out and Trick Williams went on Twitter and he's like, she better not be wearing that ring, because obviously they had just gotten engaged I think a day or two before, and she comes out with the fucking ring, and I'm like,
oh my god,
why would you do that? Because I could guarantee that ring was not cheap. That was very expensive. I mean, I get you want to show it off because it's a nice ring, but I want to be putting that in the middle of a ring during a wrestling match. I feel like that's I think Trick had every reason to be a little worried, a little concerned, but from what we saw, it looked like the ring made it out unscathed. Nothing was broke or anything, so good for them. But also, maybe don't do that next time. But I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah,
I don't think I would
I definitely wouldn't be wrestling in an engagement ring the caliber of what Trick gave Lash. But hopefully everything worked out. Hopefully everything worked out. Lash had looked very good in there for being the rookie. She
Mhm.
was the last to enter the War Games cage match to make it official, and she looked really good in there. She looked like she
Yeah.
belonged. So I'm interested in seeing what her and Nia are gonna do on SmackDown, because her and Nia looked like a great tag team. Like there were some spots where they were kind of being a tag team, and I thought they looked very good, and I thought they can go for a run at the women's tag team titles for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And yeah, I was interested in the fact that they let Lash come out last, but I feel like they never do that or like on accident. They did that on purpose. They wanted to give her like that moment to shine, and she definitely had her moments.
Yeah.
So for being thrown in the deep end, because that's pretty pretty much what it was. You can't get really much bigger than that in a match like War Games. But yeah, she held her own. She looked good, and yeah, I'm excited to see what she can do. I agree that her and Nia could be a very good team in the tag team division, maybe go after the titles again. So, yeah, there's quite a few storylines we have to pay attention now to. We're going to see, like, where does Charlotte and Alexa go from here? Where does, I mean, Becky's just going to keep, like, just, adamantly denying that she just didn't tap. And who knows what AJ's going to do? Maybe AJ will go after her a little bit. Who's gonna go after Stephanie Vaquera now, even though we kind of, like spoiled how that match ended, even though we knew how it was gonna end. So who's gonna go with that? What are we doing with Rhea and Io? It's just like there's a lot of different scenarios and different paths we can go down with the women. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with them next.
Yeah. And speaking of the women, they had a big thing to do. Well, one woman in particular had a lot to do with the next match we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about John Cena defending the Intercontinental Championship against the former Intercontinental Champion, the one he took the title off of, the hometown hero himself, Dirty Dominic Mysterio. What a match. Both men come out to crazy loud receptions. Dominic
Yeah.
has Raquel and Roxanne in his corner, who proved beneficial early on when the referee wasn't looking. There was a long moment of Dom on top, marching Cena around the ring, bouncing his head off the ring and the commentary table. Dominic attempts a Hurricane Rana off the barricade, but he wasn't able to fully rotate, landing folded up on his neck. Back in the ring, Raquel hits the Tejada bomb on Cena, followed up by pop rocks from Roxanne. Suddenly, Dominic recovers enough to hit the 619 and a frog splash. But here's the thing, the referee, Chad Patton, refused to count the pin. He gives Roxanne and Raquel the boot from ringside, and the crowd goes crazy. Cena recovers and hits the flying shoulder tackle and five knuckle shuffle. Cena locks in the STFU, but Dom makes it to the ropes. Dom removes his boot to trick Cena, but it doesn't work when Cena hit the AA after Dom put the boot back on. Referee gets taken out by an inadvertent flying shoulder tackle from Cena. That allows Finn Balor and JD McDonough to take the opportunity to come down to the ring and inflict some damage onto Cena. While it was working out in the beginning, it ended with Cena hitting a double AA on Finn and JD. Dom tried using the title without the referee present, but Cena dodged the attack and hits Dom with an AA. Cena looks up at the ramp, hoping to get an official to count the three, but what we get instead is a returning Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
Liv stares down Dom in the ring before walloping him upside the head. I don't know what is going on. I'm confused at this part. She jumps
Yeah.
into the arms of Cena to Cena's surprise. Liv lets go and then suddenly kicks John Cena below the belt. Dom hits the 619. Liv clocks Cena with the IC title. Then Dom finishes it off with the frog splash for a shocking win. I am just confused. But say what you
Yeah.
want about the way Cena's last year has been booked, but the quality of matches we have been getting have been top notch. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was the best match of the night. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 flames, and we only have one John Cena match left over.
Ugh, I hate that sentence. That is not a. I don't like that. But yeah, I feel like pretty much the talk of the internet was Liv coming back, and we were all very curious as to how she was going to react, because we know there've been some drama and some stuff within the Judgment Day, and how she going to react to like essentially getting replaced by Roxanne Perez. What's going to go on there? Is she going to get pissed at Dom because he kind of is like messing with her a little bit. And so she like takes out Dominic, and we're like, oh, okay, well maybe she's like, done with the Judgment Day, whatever. And then when she jumps on Cena, the like facial expressions when her face like changed just like that, it was like, oh shit, like you knew something bad was about to happen. That was like dead eyes. There was nothing behind the eyes in that look. It was just like, oh fuck, someone's gonna be in for a world of hurt, and it's John Cena, and boy was he. But yeah, we were 2 for 2 on that one because we both picked Dawn to get the title back because we kind of figured that was how it was gonna go because we didn't really expect to see Cena retiring with the IC title. They just gave it to him for the feel good moment, the Grand Slam champion now and whatever, which is like, is it annoying from a booking perspective? Yes, but it's like it's Cena's retirement tour, so you can give it a pass, I guess. But yeah, now it's back where it should be, and hopefully it stays that way for a while because Dom's just been getting better and better. And this match showed it from what I could see. It's not a surprise. They're both great in the ring, out of the rings, so we expected a solid match, and they definitely delivered. And Liv definitely got the people talking. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, Liv Morgan is pretty much dominating the online chatter of WWE and her return and what she's going to be doing. She even made her presence felt on Monday Night Raw alongside Dominic, and especially at the last segment, which I thought was very interesting. The last segment of Monday Night Raw is the Judgment Day, the women of the Judgment Day, Raquel, Roxanne, and Liv all standing strong. And you wonder, like you said earlier, what's the dynamic going to be between Roxanne and Liv? Are they going to be able to get along? Because there was a lot of tension before Liv got hurt and had to go on the shelf. But Liv ultimately looked like a team player. Telling
Yeah.
Roxanne like you're gonna be one half of the tag team champions, and she was raising the hand of Raquel and Roxanne. And also she earlier on the night in Monday Night Raw confronted Stephanie Vicaire, the women's world champion. So Liv has her eyes on a bigger picture. She doesn't want to go back to what she was doing before she got hurt, which was, for the women's tag team titles. She has her eyes on the bigger picture. She wants to be the top dog, per se, in the WWE women's division, especially on Raw. And I think without her, it's been kind of a downside because she sneakily has great matches with a lot of people. So I definitely want to see her in matches with like Io Sky, Asuka, Kairi Sane, so she could have banger matches with a lot of different people. Stephanie Vicaire for sure. So these are matches that we have to look forward to with Liv Morgan back in the fold. So I'm pretty much happy, and I think that's why I gave the match such a high score, because the execution of her return went off so well. It was like it was one of the surprises because Survivor Series, like we talked about earlier, was kind of a little on the mid side, but this was a big surprise. This was a big surprise for that.
Yeah, they needed something because we didn't really get a whole lot of anything in terms of surprises for the most part, because I feel like I don't want to say they tried and failed, because there was like another, if you want to call it a surprise, but I'm not so sure I would call it that, but we'll talk about that one when we get to the main event. But yeah, it was a very good return. You kind of are, you're just kind of waiting for something to happen though with the Judgment Day. There's no way that she's been sitting at home not seeing what's been going on. So you're kind of just like sitting back, like it's just only a matter of time before she like does something. Because if I were her, I wouldn't be so willing to let someone else take my spot. And so I think she's playing, I'm not gonna say playing dumb, but I think she's playing her cards close to the vest. So I feel like she's gonna pick her spot to kind of get her revenge on Roxanne and the Judgment Day, but it's kind of just a wait and see game at this point, because I feel like just when you think the Judgment Day is gonna die, they just don't. They just find a way to just keep going. But who knows? She might be the full on demise of the faction, but not through their own creation though, because they kind of asked for it. But I just think it's going to be a matter of when, not if.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I'm interested. I'm this kind of, especially again going back to like the proceedings of Monday Night Raw. It kind of got me back interested in what's happening with the Judgment Day, because
Yeah.
there was a lot of dissension before Liv got hurt. She comes back and she's like, "We're gonna get this right." You know,
Hmm.
Liv makes it seem like she wants to get the Judgment Day on the right track, but it's like you said, she could be playing both sides. And we don't
Yeah.
know. She could be a little angry at the way things were in her absence. And what is the weird thing with like smacking Dominic around, and
Yeah.
then like jumping in his arms? I don't get it. I don't get why they are doing that, but it is weird to me. I find it very weird. I don't know if it's part of a story or something, because
Yeah.
man, it is weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it kind of seems like maybe she's in on a plan that no one else is in on,
Mhm.
because you have to think she kind of single-handedly flipped the Judgment Day on its head when Rhea was a part of it and Damien was a part of it. So I mean, really wouldn't put it past her to do something else again. And now she actually has a well, I mean, she had a motive back then, but she sure as hell has a motive now. So yeah, I think she's gonna be surprising some people, but
Interesting.
we'll just have to wait and see.
Definitely, for sure. So moving on, the next match on the card was for the Women's World Championship, and it was between champion Stephanie Vaquer taking on Nikki Bella, the woman who kind of stabbed Stephanie in the back and went to the dark side, no longer wanting to be a sidekick, wanting to get some championship gold in this last run for Nikki Bella, and I can't really blame her. There was a lot of moments where in the match Nikki Bella was the aggressor against the more experienced Vaquer. That was the one thing I was looking for. Can Nikki Bella hang in the ring with Stephanie Vaquer? Bella blocked the Devil's Kiss to the boos of the crowd, which I thought was great because it plays up her heel persona that she's trying to adapt now. Now the tide has shifted into Vaquer being in control of the match. Nikki gets things back in hand, finishing off a flurry of offense with the Rack Attack 2.0. The problem is she was too close to the ropes, where Vaquer gets her foot under the ropes to stop the pin. Action spills to the outside, where Vaquer hits the Devil's Kiss on top of the commentary table. Back in the ring, we get another Devil's Kiss and then a corkscrew splash from Vaquer, who gets the win. Decent match, and again, I'm just glad Nikki held her own. If you're ranking the matches, you're probably thinking this is on the lower end because, again, there were only 4 matches. So I gave this one 3.5 flames out of 5. There was nothing bad about it. It was just kind of another match.
Yeah, and I feel like it was not in. I mean, it was going to be screwed from the beginning too, because there was no way it was going to open the show. It was always going to be behind some one of the big matches. It just happened to be the Cena and Dom one, so they didn't really have the best spot on the card. But I feel like that's just kind of how it was going to be anyway. Yeah, I feel like from what I could see, Nikki was definitely a lot better than she was with her match with Becky, because I feel like the bar was very low at that point. So I feel like doing just the bare minimum would have been enough. But she did pretty good from what I could see. I feel like I don't know if it was just me or maybe it was just time got away from me for a little bit, because I was on Twitter for a minute. I saw that this match was going on next. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I don't remember, I got preoccupied doing something else. And it didn't feel like 5, 10 minutes later, I checked with my phone and it's like, oh yeah, Stephanie retained. I'm like, was the match really that short? Like, was it really that quick? Or was it just
Yeah,
me?
it was a little quicker than obviously the other matches on the card that had a little bit more to talk about. Um, But the one thing like I said, I just was glad that Nikki Bella looked like she belonged there. She wasn't getting outclassed, because when Nikki was in her prime, no offense, but she was like the people she was wrestling against, anybody could wrestle circles around. She was just barely
Yeah.
scratching the surface with people like any of the four horsewomen or anything like that before she left. So now she's
Mhm.
back and she's mixing it up with high caliber opponents, and she's holding her own, which is good to see. And that's what makes me happiest of all, I think. But again, I
Yeah.
think Stephanie Vaquer the winningest superstar of 2025 with 28 wins under her belt already, is just coming taking things by storm. So that's why Bella couldn't overtake her and take the title from her.
Yeah, like we said, there was no way that Nikki was gonna win. Like that just was not happening. Like that would have been a surprise in a very, very bad way. Like I feel like this one was for us the easiest prediction to make on the card because Stephanie shouldn't be losing this title for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like and not I don't want to sound like a hater. It's like because I don't want to knock on Nikki, but it's just like where she is right now and where Stephanie is right now, Nikki was never gonna have a chance. Like there's just no way. But I don't know. I just feel like you got to keep the title on Stephanie for a while. So the outcome was pretty obvious from the get-go, but it's still again from what the internet had said was not really it wasn't great, but it wasn't fantastic, or it wasn't like horrible either. It was
Right.
just a solid like match, but again, it was never going to get a good shake or a fair shake because of where it was on the card. But that's what happens when you only have 4 matches on the card.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know why they only had 4 matches on the card and why we had remember because Friday Night SmackDown had the Team Sami Zayn versus
yeah,
Team MFT elimination match. Why we couldn't have that on the actual Survivor Series card is beyond me. 4 matches on
yeah.
the card. I mean, like I said, we did get 3 hours worth of programming, but still, it kind of felt on the low end like we were getting shafted.
Yeah, because I could only honestly, because I could imagine the amount of money most people had to spend to go to that show live in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
So to pay that much money, we'll just probably, it's fair enough to say, probably hundreds of dollars
Mm-hmm.
with tickets. And if you get into like travel and everything, probably thousands of dollars for 4 matches. I don't know about you. I would have been a little pissed. I would have been like, we paid all this money to see 4 matches. That's it. Granted, 2 of them are war games, so those are like a couple matches rolled into one, but still, it's just it's tough. I feel like you have to find that sweet spot of how many matches on a card are too little versus how many are not enough. Because I feel like four, even with it, 2 of them being war games, still kind of gets to the point of like that could be a bit of a tough watch
Mm-hmm.
because if your programming is going to be multiple hours long, you got to make it not a total slog to sit through. And I think that's kind of the problem sometimes where some of these pay-per-views, and it's not just WWE, it's just AEW, WWE, whatever. Sometimes you're just sitting there and it's like, God, this is hard to like pay attention to. This is really hard to focus. But only having 4 matches is a little tough because you're gonna probably get I mean, the war games are multiple, like at least what was it, about an hour each, pretty
Mm-hmm.
much, give or take. And it's just like, oh my God, this thing just keeps going and just keeps going and keeps going. And you don't want to keep comparing, but if you go to like a match like Blood and Guts, that kind of match, if it's an hour long, it's gonna feel like it flew by because there's just so much action and all this shit all the time. And War Games didn't really have that, so it's kind of like, oh, okay, so we're gonna sit through an hour of this, I guess. Like, okay, sure, but I don't know. I just feel like, especially for the people attending, I feel like it was definitely not worth spending the amount of money they probably had to pay just to see a whopping 4 matches. I just think that's kind of wild to me, but that's WWE in a nutshell with the money. They'll get it whether people are happy or not. You spent the money, so that's your own problem.
Yeah, a lot of people did spend a lot of money because the announced attendance for the show was 46,016, the largest attendance for a Survivor Series by a mile. So you know WWE made a killing in revenue, not just ticket sales, but merchandise, concessions, the
Yeah.
whole nine. They definitely made a lot of money Saturday night, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like it's that's like their big thing. And it's for a while now has been their big thing where it's like, oh, well, we broke this attendance record, we broke that attendance record, blah, blah, blah. At some point, don't you think it's going to kind of get to a point where they're going to have to like constantly have these premium live events in like stadiums and like ballparks and stuff? Because you're going to have to keep getting bigger and bigger if you want to keep touting the fact that you keep breaking all these records. How big is too big for them? Or when is enough enough? And I don't think that clearly enough's ever going to be enough, but so what are you going to do then? Just have them in West Coast like ballparks for every single show? Because that's the only way you're going to get those amount of people in a pay-per-view like that. So I don't know. It just comes across as a little greedy sometimes, but that's just the era of WWE we're in right now, I guess.
I guess so. But we still have the main event, the men's War Games match, and it was a doozy. The match kicks off with CM Punk taking on Braun Breaker. The opening sequence in this portion were all about Braun's power versus Punk's quickness and evasion. Team Heyman has the War Game advantage, which means the next competitor leaves CM Punk in a 2-on-1 hole, and that man is Drew McIntyre. The portion of the match is a straight up beatdown of CM Punk by Breaker and McIntyre. The next entrant is Cody Rhodes, who is blocked from entering the cage by Drew McIntyre. Cody climbs the cage and wipes out McIntyre with a crossbody. Cody inadvertently clocks Punk with a back elbow, and I make note of that because sometimes WWE doesn't do things on accident. So I don't know if that was necessarily an accident with that back elbow, but nothing ever really comes from the misfire as Punk and Cody team up. Cody and Punk team up on Braun Breaker and hits him with the Doomsday device, sending Breaker crashing on his neck in a scary scene. That was that.
I hated that.
Yeah, that got my reaction out of it. It did numbers on social media, but
Yeah.
that was the nastiest bump I've ever seen in a long
Yeah.
time. The way he landed on his neck and he was just there kind of frozen. Like, did that really just happen?
Yeah, it was just like, oh, I once was enough. I didn't need to see a replay of that. That was just like, oh, I'm glad he's supposedly okay. It looked like he was fine, but it's just like, good lord, that could have been a lot worse than it potentially was. But ugh, I
Yeah,
just
for
can't do
sure.
it.
McIntyre and Breaker get some help in the form of Logan Paul. Cody and Paul have a fist battle at the top of the cage. This portion has Team Heyman in control of Punk and Cody. The next man in the War Games match is Jimmy Uso, who gets a table from under the ring and brings it inside the cage. Not much to noteworthy there. The next person in the match is Bronson Reed, who wipes out everyone with a tsunami. The next man in the match is Jey Uso, who helps get things back on track and takes out everyone for his team. Jay did such a good job for his team that he starts up a yeet party.
God,
The fun,
people were not thrilled.
yeah, the
at all.
fun gets interrupted by Brock Lesnar. Now, here's the thing I want to say about the whole yeet party in the middle of the match. When AEW does it in their Anarchy in the Arena, where they play the music throughout the entire match, or they play Bodies by Drowning Pool, nobody has an issue with it.
Yeah.
But we do the thing where Jey Uso runs back the Yeet Party, something he's been doing for quite some time now, and now everybody seems to have a problem with it. I don't know.
I feel like they probably have more of an issue with Jay than I think they do the whole Yee party thing. At least that's what I could see. At least that's what it seemed like to me, where it was like, I think the biggest thing people were going off of was that interview he did a couple months ago where he said he wants to be more than an entrance. And, or he is more than an entrance. And clearly people were very quick to point out that that does not seem to be the case. But, I mean, obviously we've talked about it a couple episodes ago that it's kind of getting exposed a little bit. So I feel like maybe it was just not the right time to do that. Maybe. I don't know. Just yeah, I don't know. You can't really like I definitely get what you're saying because I know there would be people that are like, well, it's okay when AEW does it, but not like when he does it. But I think it's just more or less the issue of people are just kind of getting tired of Jay. So I feel like by default they're just gonna like be a little more quick to judge, where it's just like, oh fucking course, there he goes again, because why wouldn't he? So yeah, it probably didn't help them a little bit, but they didn't seem to care too much. But yeah, I mean the crowd was into it, at least
Yeah.
from what I could see, but still, yeah, the online people weren't too into it, but that's
Like
just nothing new.
like I always say, there's always a disconnect between the live audience that is attending the show and the online audience that is
Yeah.
watching the show at home. There's always a
Mhm.
disconnect. Like you're always gonna get opposite reactions.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, it's weird. It's just I feel like sometimes it bleeds into the real crowd, because I feel like maybe the people from the internet get to actually go to these shows, but I don't think it happens as often as people make it seem. But I don't know. It just seems like you can kind of tell that some people are kind of slowly souring on Jay over time, but I feel like it wasn't. I think the thing with Jay is that I don't think people. It's not necessarily a wrestling fans are fickle kind of thing. He hasn't really given them much of a reason to be able to defend it.
right.
Because, like we've talked about, it kind of came across as maybe he's not putting everything he can into it, and he kind of half-assing it a little bit, and it's just you get the pomp and circumstance and the eat parties and whatever, and then the bell rings and you're just like,
Yeah.
this isn't right. But
And I'm pretty sure there's more to come of it because on Monday he lost in the John Cena last time is now tournament. He lost his match to LA Knight and gets eliminated in the tournament, and he snaps. So
yeah.
maybe he's coming to the realization that he in his own mind maybe think he is more than an entrance, but he's not showing us.
Yeah, maybe. It's, or at the very least, it's all the pressure and the stuff outside of the ring that's kind of like bleeding into the ring, and clearly his eye might not be on the ball right now for one reason or another. And yeah, this is what you get when you're not focused. You lose your shots, and now all of a sudden you're at square one again. So we'll see.
Well, the fun gets interrupted by Brock Lesnar. Lesnar goes into the cage and destroys everyone with suplexes and F5s, and I mean everyone. The final competitor to enter War Games, making things official, is Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar must have figured out a loophole in the rules because he exits the cage to meet
Yeah.
Roman. Reigns connects with
Yeah.
two Superman punches, but gets stopped attempting a third. Brock hits Roman with an F5 through the announcer's table. Braun Breaker is back in the ring and he's just spearing everybody. Fast forward a bit when a mysterious figure covered head to toe in black enters the cage. The mysterious person hits a super kick, then a curb stomp on CM Punk before exiting the cage without ever revealing who they were. Braun Breaker hits a super spear on CM Punk and gets the win for his team. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Team Heyman is the winner of the men's War Games match for 2025, thanks to a mysterious figure clouded in black.
You were probably so mad too, because this was the one thing we were wrong on, or no, you were wrong on with the predictions. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, there's no fucking way. I'm like, there's no fucking way this actually happened. And I'm like, oh, Eric's gonna be mad.
I
And
honestly thought this was my month. I honestly thought this was my PLE to take the title away, and I ended up getting screwed by some dude in black.
and I knew you were mad, because I'm like, I sent like, for like pulling the curtain back a little bit. Every time we're always like talking during the pay-per-views, and every time one way or another the predictions get settled, we'll send like our little gifs or whatever. And I sent my usual, which was Seth Rollins like spinning the belt around like he always does. And usually you say something, and you didn't this time. So I'm like, oh, he's extra salty
You
about
know
this
what
one.
it
He's
was?
not happy.
It was just like I felt the ending of especially the men's war game and the ending of the PLE kind of just went over so sourly that
Yeah.
it was
Oh yeah.
just like it just happened and that was it.
Yeah,
Like
people were not happy
yeah,
at all.
it just like I noted, this War Games match was decent in my book, but nothing to go crazy over. The carnage was there. It just didn't grab your attention like one would think it would. At least on the women's side, Io Sky made you go ooh and on when she dove off the top of the cage with the trash can over her head. And the one thing that made me come out of my seat was us almost seeing the end of Braun Breaker off that
Yeah.
Doomsday device. Uh,
Yeah, and that's sad that that was the thing that got you, which shouldn't have happened. So the fact that that was the thing that got you was not a good sign.
Yeah. Like I said, it was War Games, but we've seen better in the past. So I ended up giving this match 3.5 flames out of 5. I wish I could have gave higher for a War Games match. I just was with the masked person coming into the ring and them not
Mm.
revealing who that is, even though I have my theories. No pun
I think
intended.
that you do. Yeah, so did everybody else from
Yeah,
what I saw.
yeah,
Someone said Jericho. Somebody said fucking Jericho, and we're like, he can't move that quick. Come on, like, please.
Mike keeps rage baiting me by saying Jericho.
Of course he did.
Yeah, and I know he's gonna listen to this, and he's probably cracking up right now. But
Probably.
he likes to rage bait me by saying it's Jericho, but there's no way Jericho
Can't
is
move.
moving up that cage that fast.
No, that's not happening. Yeah, people were not happy about that whole like loophole, like you had mentioned with Lesnar and the rules. I feel like the only reason that didn't like, I feel like the only way they can justify that is that technically the match didn't officially start because Roman wasn't in the cage, because I feel like that's the thing, isn't it? Like
Right,
everybody has to be in the cage, the door shuts now, the match actually starts. So
right.
maybe that was their way of getting around it, but if you have to have your commentary team try and cover for the fact that people are going to be pissed about it, not the smartest idea, but again, there were a lot of things that they that were not smart in this throughout this whole show, but yeah, it was I mean, I was happy that I was correct
Mm,
for the most part. I didn't want to be, but I just knew. I just had a feeling. I'm like, this heel team is so lopsided compared to like the talent on the like good guy side that this is so fucking obvious that they have to win. This is just like so easy of a slam dunk win for the good guys that it's not going to be. And I felt very vindicated in the fact that I was correct about that. However, um yeah, it did not sound like the live crowd was too happy after the show. There's that clip going around on Twitter of everything that was going on afterwards. And Roman telling Cody that, oh, this is the last time we're ever teaming together. And now we're hinting at that's going to be a whole other thing again. And you can hear the crowd booing in the background. So, yeah, that is not usually a good sign when your paying crowd is booing the show as it's going off the air. So so yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. What we're going to do from there. I mean, granted Jay didn't turn like I possibly predicted he would have, but somebody else showed up to screw over the good guys, and yeah, I feel like you're probably right. I think the general consensus online from what I saw is that it has to be Austin Theory. I think the trying to remember if there was somebody else that they had said. They said me. I mean, the joke was Jericho, and I'm like, yeah, no, he's not moving that fast, and never has moved that fast. But trying to remember who else they said it could have been. Said it could have been Austin Theory. It could have been. Who else was it?
I saw a couple of people say Seth Rollins, but there's no way he's moving that
No way.
well after labrum surgery. So
Yeah, no, there's no way. Some people I saw were trying to say Killer Cross, and I'm like, guys, come on. We gotta let that go because him and Scarlett aren't coming back to WWE, and probably for the better. So it's like I'll continue to enjoy them on the indies. I don't have that like weird fantasy of still holding on to the fact that this is all just one big work. It's like you guys are kind of just not a smart thing to say or think that that's the case because it's not. So I feel like it's got to be Austin Theory. I'm blanking on who else saw online as like potential names besides, yeah, it was Rollins, but mainly it seemed like it was Austin Theory, which yeah, it could be the only one that makes sense because again, who else can move that fast? But I don't know. We're gonna see how long it takes them to reveal the mystery person? Is it going to be within the next few weeks? Are we not going to know for a while? Is it going to be one of those things where we kind of have to forget about it for a little bit and all of a sudden it just shows up again? Like, it's intriguing, but it remains to be seen if that's going to pay off in the long run, because yeah, the ending to that show was just kind of like a uh, it was just kind of just like that's it.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I overall thought that the event was okay. Nothing spectacular to blow your socks off, but the venue and atmosphere gave you enough of a big fight feel. Liv Morgan's return and the execution of her return felt like the one big deal of the night, and the match was pulled off to perfection. So I'm giving Dom versus Cena my match of the night and an overall event score of a 3.5 flames out of 5 for me.
ugh. Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment, because I didn't really see anything that made me go, ah, damn, I wish I would have seen that like on pay-per-view live watching it, which is not a good sign, because you always want to have a little bit of like, damn it, I wish I would have bought that, or ah, damn it, I wish I would have seen that live, but it didn't come across that way online. I mean, obviously you had the half of the community just melting down over the fact that it was just, I mean, to some people it was like god awful and the worst pay-per-view ever. It's like, I don't think I would go that far, but I would also not be surprised that it was just average. Um, and then you kind of put that on top of, and I don't know if you saw this before we came on air, that very interesting rumor that Freddie Prinze Jr. said like he has a friend in ESPN that's like says that the company is not happy with their deal with WWE right now. So I mean, if you keep putting out pay-per-views like that, then I could understand why ESPN would be so upset, because yeah, you're not going to be really making your money back on that deal if you keep it up, but I mean, obviously that's something to keep an eye on, but yeah, you keep doing stuff like this and it's kind of just like ugh, because they haven't had a really good string of like really good pay-per-views lately. It's always just
Hmm.
been kind of like average to good at best, which
Right.
is not great, because you always expect WWE pay-per-views to kind of like blow other pay-per-views out of the water. Like, there was a time, hell, when we're just like, okay, well, I mean, AEW's pay-per-view is going to be good, but I mean, yeah, WWE's is almost just like a shoe-in that it's going to be great. Well, now not so much. You're kind of a little nervous going into some of these shows where it's just like, am I going to be wasting my time watching this? And I feel like we always have to do this, because we do our was this worth the money
Mhm.
question at the end of the show.
Right.
From what I saw, all I can say, because I didn't pay for it, was I'm glad I didn't pay for it, because I don't think I would have been too thrilled with it. So that's my verdict on it, is no, I don't think it was really worth the money. But what about you? Do you think it was worth it?
Um, not for 4 matches, no.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this was just kind of, it didn't blow me away. It didn't blow me away, and not that I was expecting it to, but I expected a little bit more. You know, you got this big
Yeah.
giant venue that you packed to the rafters. You got 46,000 people in there. You know, they want to see something that makes them go wow, and I don't think there was enough here to make people go wow. I just felt like it was another show that you could have put in front of a 10,000 to a 15,000 seat arena, and that would have been just fine. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, one thing I wanted to ask you was, do we miss the War Games cages that held the competitors together during the match? They didn't do that this year. They had each
Short
competitor,
cages.
yeah, they had each competitor come out to their own entrance. So how do you think that fares in comparison to having the short cages?
I feel like it was definitely a missed opportunity, but I feel like when you looked at the stage and the setup, which a lot of people called out on the fact of it was just so boring of a stage, which I get, but also you're in a baseball park, so you really can't make these big, like, grandiose stages. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the choice you make when you go to a place like that. So that I didn't really care about that, but I'm also looking at it at first going, where the cage is gonna go, because you can't fit any of them there. And yeah, I feel like you take the shark cages away and you kind of take away the like fun little moments that you get in between, like during the match, before the match. Like, I mean, hell, you probably, if this would have been like the norm and we wouldn't have had the shark cages, you probably would have missed probably one of the most infamous moments with Dakota Kai turning on Tegan Nox. Like, that's one thing everybody remembers. So you have that. You have CM Punk antagonizing the other team last year. You have like, you just have these like fun little moments, like Rhea doing the pull-ups in the middle of the shark cage. Is just like, those little things are always so funny, and you see them all over Twitter and Instagram and social media when they happen. And when you don't get them, it's kind of like, huh, this is strange. This is like a little weird. I feel like it definitely was missed. I feel like they could have, I wish they could have done it, but I feel like with the way everything was set up, it just would have been a logistical nightmare. But then again, that's what they wanted, to pack more people in there, so they sacrificed something fun for more money. Go fucking figure. But like, who would have thought? But yeah, I miss the shark cages because I always thought they had little fun moments during the match. But
For
who
sure.
cares what we think, right?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, War Games. I was expecting more. I mean, I'm not saying I'm disappointed, but I was just expecting a
Surprise.
little. Yeah, and hopefully we don't get another PLE until the 31st of January.
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
got
it's gonna
a
be a hot.
we got a lot of TV time to cover, so I'm interested in seeing what they're gonna do. They're gonna do the July 5th Netflix edition of Raw. It's gonna see CM Punk defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Braun Breaker. Did I say July? I think I said July, but I meant January.
January.
January 5th edition of Monday Night Raw, the first Monday Night Raw of the year on Netflix. It's going to see CM Punk defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Braun Breaker, who cut an amazing promo on Raw the other night, which was phenomenal. He
Yeah.
really came to his own, and he's really going to be a big time player. So I can't wait for that match. And yeah, there it is. Our coverage of Survivor Series. I was thinking this was going to be a short end, but we actually hit our normal time.
Yeah, yeah, I think we did pretty good. I mean, obviously we had a lot more things to you know, rant on about, so we did our usuals. We're not surprised. I think we're pretty good at this by now.
Yeah, definitely. Just to let you guys know, this podcast is available on all platforms. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple, it's on Good Pods, it's on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Audible. Wherever you listen to podcasts, it's available. And if you don't have a podcast platform that you use, you can still hop on YouTube at going to youtube.com/at ringside run pod and listen to the episode on YouTube. If you have a platform that you use but don't see the podcast on there, just let us know. We will get you a link to the podcast on a silver platter, but the caveat is you have to give us back the silver platter because it belongs to Shay's mom. And they say Dusty Rhodes came up with War Games. Nah. It was
Nah.
Shay's mom and her sadistic mind that came up with War Games and locking 10 men in a cage. Only she would think of something like that.
Yeah, so you might not want to you might not want to mess with her, trust me, from personal experience. Just don't do it.
For
Just give us
sure.
the platter back.
For sure. You can find Ringside Rundown content all across the board on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Ringside Rundown. We're on TikTok, Ringside_Rundown is the handle. And every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do live watch alongs of WWE and AEW content on Twitch and YouTube. So come check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/ringside rundown. Join the fun, hop up and chat, have a lot of fun talking about wrestling and meeting new
Gamble.
people. Yeah, and gamble channel points. Everybody loves to gamble channel points on the on
Yeah.
the on the stream. So yeah, definitely come check us out. Shay, where can they get a hold of you?
You can find me talking about all my Twitter stuff on at Shay Ringside _. It'll say it's Eric's Twitter, but I just took the name
Yeah,
and made it mine.
she
So I
copied
copied
the
her.
homework.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same, but not really, but different. But yeah,
Well,
it works.
just to let you guys know, next week we're gonna come back to our original format where we answer your questions about what is happening in the world of professional wrestling. We already have questions being sent in through Discord, wanting to know our opinion about wrestling. Just to give you guys a preview of what we're gonna be answering on the next episode. This question comes from Bella, who has a question to share. If you had the power to change the outcome of one recent match, basically a match that happened within the last 2 weeks, what would you have changed and why? So there's yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to give you that preview of that question. That's what we're going to be up against on the next episode of the Ringside Rundown. So if you have a question about professional wrestling that you want Shay and I to answer, you can send it to us through our Twitter on our pinned tweet on Monday at Ringside Rundown, or you can hop up in our Discord server. The link is in the description. Hop up in the Discord server and go to the podcast questions channel and drop your question there. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast, answering your questions. So for Shay Hickson, my name is Erik Vasquez, and we will see you on the next episode, guys. Take care.
See you later, guys.